Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let's talk about this upcoming week in the National Football League, Week 10. Right? You have some big games coming up that are going to have major playoff consequences. Right? Now, what I'm going to say might not be borne out by the statistics because here we try to go beyond the statistics. Right? Sometimes statistics are a bit misleading. Here's one, though, that you need to keep an eye on. I know the Jets are banged up. There's no question about it. Brandon Marshall is not 100%. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not 100%. Right? Certain players seem to be playing through some kind of injury. Antonio Cromartie looks awful out there. Right? You wonder if he's nursing an injury, trying to play through one. But understand that right now, the Jets are 5-3. If they can get to 6-3, right? Especially in a conference where the second place team in the South, the Houston Texans, are below 500. The second place team in the West, the Oakland Raiders, are at 500. Right? If the Jets can beat the Buffalo Bills, who are 4-4 right now, they would have a 2-game lead on the Bills, and they would be in the catbird seat for the wild card, right? Keep in mind, you're talking about a team that has an excellent defense. You're talking about a team that's going to be playing the Buffalo Bills at home in New York, really New Jersey, but in the Jets' home park, right? The Jets have a great opportunity this weekend. I know they didn't play great ball last week, but they did beat Jacksonville. They've put themselves where they need to be. Right? So let's see if the Jets can deliver on the promise. Understand, as we get deeper into the year, teams with great defenses are going to start to matter more and more. Let's talk about a team that let me down last week. I took Green Bay. I laid 2.5 points against the Carolina Panthers. Right? Now, I'm not a believer in Carolina even now. I'll give Carolina a lot of respect. They definitely are in the playoffs, right? They're unbeaten. They're at 8-0. They certainly have a great defense. Their defense is really their calling card. But I can't get excited when your lead running back is Jonathan Stewart. I can't get excited when Ted Ginn is actually one of your starting wide receivers. Right? I can't get excited when I see Cam Newton doing too much. Right? It's okay to me if you rely on your quarterback to, make good throws and stuff like that. But when you're relying on him to run the football as well, that raises eyebrows. Now, I'll say this. It's a little bit astonishing that Green Bay isn't better on the road. Right? It's a little bit astonishing just how inconsistent Green Bay has been. Which Green Bay team is going to show up? Right? The bad one showed up this week. What happened in that second quarter? Why was Carolina able to get by hitting obvious targets like Greg Olsen? Right? One wonders what happens to Carolina if Greg Olsen is taken away from Cam Newton. Olsen, of course, was the guy who caught the winning touchdown in the Seahawks game. Right? Well, now Green Bay is going to play Detroit at home this week. Understand, Detroit's in all kind of disarray. Right? Guys have been fired from their coaching staff. Right? There's an open question on whether or not Jim Caldwell is going to return next year. Certain players don't seem to be able to have a lot of success before the fourth quarter. Yes, I'm talking about you, Matthew Stafford. One wonders how the offense could be this bad. Let me say this. Everyone I'm involved in fantasy football with in my fantasy football pool is astonished by how bad Amir Abdullah's doing. Right? That's a key game to look at because, of course, Green Bay has been sliding, and now teams like the Minnesota Vikings are also 6-2. Green Bay is getting challenged in their division. Look at the records too. Atlanta, second place in the South. They're 6-3. They're not that far behind. Right? Green Bay better watch its back. Now let me talk about a gift I got this weekend. I'll concede I did not deserve it in the slightest. The New York Giants covered against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the Giants got outplayed in the game. No question about it. If Buccaneer receivers could just hold on to passes and not drop them, Jameis Winston would have had his team in the mix. Now, the key is that the Giants are atop of the NFC East, but they're only ahead of Philadelphia by half a game. Guess who's coming to dinner? Next week, the Giants in the Meadowlands play their arch nemesis, the team they beat in 2 Super Bowls, their last 2 Super Bowls, the unbeaten New England Patriots. Now, the Patriots have had all kinds of injuries, right? Their offensive line isn't what it used to be. Dion Lewis has torn his ACL. They don't have the change of pace at running back that they have enjoyed this year, right? But still, you and I know, if there's one thing that gets under the skin of a Patriot fan, it's the memory of having their unbeaten season knocked out by the New York Giants. You remember that David Tyree Super Bowl. Then to have insult added to injury, to have the Giants, the next time these two teams faced each other in the Super Bowl, do it again. In fact, look good at the end of the game. There's no David Tyree moment in that second Giant Patriot Super Bowl. There's just a fourth quarter beatdown. Look at Peyton Manning, forget Peyton. Look at Eli Manning's stats in the fourth quarter of that last Super Bowl. Right? That Patriot defense got broken. Now, I know the Patriots are going around telling people, hey, man, look, we just want to get in the playoffs. Then we want to hopefully get in the Super Bowl. You and I know that's not quite true. We know the Patriots want to go unbeaten. They want to make a statement. Before it was Spygate, they made a statement. They were unbeaten before that Super Bowl. Now it's Deflategate. They're unbeaten. Tom Brady has to know in the back of his head that the NFL is still coming after him, right? I personally think when all is said and done, Brady's going to lose on Deflategate. The team's already paid a lot of money to settle their part of the claim. You can imagine Bob Kraft and Tom Brady would like nothing better than to go unbeaten. Now, if you took my advice a few weeks ago and picked the Patriots to go 16-0 because of the odds they were laying out, this is one of those weeks where you need to hedge the play a little bit, right? In my opinion, you need to bet something on the Giants here. Keep in mind, the line right now, as of November the 10th, has the Patriots favored by 7.5 points against the Giants. Right? In my opinion, you need to take the Giants at least on a money line just to protect your investment in the Patriots to go unbeaten bet. Let me say this too. That prop is even more likely now that we saw what Indy did to Denver. Right? Because, of course, the Patriots have to play Denver in Denver. So Indy ran a lot of Frank Gore at Denver. They kept that defense on the field. You know what happened. Indy had success. They put up points. Peyton Manning was on the field too long. That old arm started to get tired. He threw a key pick late in that game. Right? The Patriots now are seeing the blueprint on how to beat Denver. but they have to get by this game to keep that unbeaten record intact. Right? This is a must-see game. I'll agree. You and I could probably score on the Giant defense. But understand, the Giant offense is no joke. Right? Odell Beckham Jr. is one of the best wide receivers in the game. Right? Reuben Randall is one of the better up-and-coming young wide receivers. Right? They have other guys. Shane Vereen, where exactly is he going to be on the field? Keep in mind, if anyone knows the versatility of the New England Patriot offense, it's Shane Vereen. Right? Keep a close eye on that Giant Patriot game this weekend. Let me talk about another team, too, that intrigues me statistically. Did you know that statistically, the Pittsburgh Steelers have played one of the toughest schedules all year? Think about it. Now, what team could possibly have more injuries, right? I know Cowboy fans are crying. They're saying, oh, we lost Tony Romo. Well, guess what? The Steelers lost Big Ben for weeks, right? I know. You know, we're hearing about, oh, Des Bryant missed a few games in Dallas, right? Le'Veon Bell is out for the season in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had a tough opponent come, right? It's been this kind of day. Let's let this phone ring. Pittsburgh had a tough opponent come to town, the Oakland Raiders, right? Now, let me say this. If you saw the game and if you saw the relationship between Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, we've seen that kind of symbiotic relationship before. Think Montana, think Jerry Rice. I'm not kidding. Look at the numbers from last week when Ben was on the field. Right? Now, the rumor is that Ben's going to come back sooner than expected. I don't know if he's going to make it back for their upcoming game against Cleveland, right? But the bottom line is that, you know Ben and Antonio Brown, just those two guys, could completely destabilize an overmatched DB. Right? What I'm saying to you, too, is that the Pittsburgh Steelers, after playing one of the toughest schedules in the National Football League to date, are 5-4. Understand, if Buffalo beats the Jets, Buffalo, the Jets, and the Steelers will all be 5-4. The Steelers are very much in the hunt for a wild card in the AFC. Let me close by talking about something the press is nervous in considering, right? You know, there are many Nobel laureates out there. There are many hardworking, very bright people out there who can't play quarterback in the National Football League. You can have a high IQ. You can have good grades. But if you don't have the kind of mind that can distill a lot of information quickly and make quick decisions. In other words, you could be a brilliant thinker, right? You could be someone who comes to great conclusions after a lot of thought. The NFL requires a different skill set, or dare I say, mindset, right? You need to be able to make quick decisions. If you're not quick enough, you might get sacked. That linebacker, that defensive end, he might have his arms around you. You might be on the turf. Right? If you're a quarterback and you can't make quick decisions on where to go with the football, that DB might be sitting on the route. Right? That open receiver might no longer be open. Now, I get the feeling that the press is afraid to even investigate that part of Colin Kaepernick's game. Right? The bottom line is this. Kaepernick is one of the best athletes at the quarterback position. unfortunately for him, it takes more than being a great athlete to be a great quarterback. Right? Kaepernick, and I understand he was a great student in school. I understand he has a very high test score and all this other stuff. Great. Okay. He can take a test. He can pass a test. What he can't do is read defenses quickly and make the throws. Now, they're covering it up out here. But according to reports, Vernon Davis, when he was a Niner, confronted Kaepernick in the locker room. Right? Davis was outraged. He was wide open several times. And Kaepernick did not get him the football. Greg Cosell, who studies film, right, looked at Kaepernick film and had to concede that there are times where guys are right in front of Kaepernick wide open. And Kaepernick couldn't find them. So, we have last weekend's game. The Atlanta Falcons came to San Francisco to face Blaine Gabbert, the new quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. Guess what? The receiving corps is back in play. Guess what? The Niner defense is still tough. Without any experienced running back, with a set of new running backs, against a team that came to town 6-2, Blaine Gabbert threw 2 touchdowns. Now, I understand the press is focused on a brain freeze, very conservative play by Atlanta's head coach. Just understand, 2 passing touchdowns for the Niners. Ooh, my goodness. What a change, right? Understand, Kaepernick couldn't score more than 1 touchdown in a few games this year, right? Understand, hope is returning to San Francisco. Now, they're out of the playoffs. They're 3-6, no question about it. But I'm just here to tell you it's going to be a little bit different now in San Francisco, right? Gabbert's not the athlete Colin Kaepernick is, not even close. But Gabbert throws the ball downfield, right? Gabbert actually hits guys as they're running their routes. It's not all Anquan Bolden standing there out-leaping somebody, right? So keep an eye on the 49ers. Conversely, you need to be very cautious in viewing the Atlanta Falcons. Look at the rushing stats for the Niner game. Now, I know the Niners have great moments on defense, but come on. You're telling me Atlanta couldn't rush for 20 yards in the game? Against a team that was 2-6? I mean, think about it. You can't load the box against Atlanta because of the wide receivers and Matt Ryan. And they still couldn't get 20 yards rushing? Also, why is Roddy White unhappy? I thought Matt Ryan was getting the ball to everyone. Keep in mind, Atlanta didn't score 20 points in the game. Right? Also, like Green Bay, one has to wonder about Atlanta on the road. Right? Keep in mind, Carolina is 2.5 games in front of them. If they're going to win the division, they have their work cut out for them. If they don't win the division, they're going to have to be prepared to play on the road in the playoffs, aren't they? Why is this team that bad on the road? Right? And let's remember, too, they didn't play in snowy conditions this last week. They were up here in Northern California. Right? Against a team with a brand new quarterback that had really no experienced running backs on the roster. Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by.